All right, so the Grand Plaza format staple from the latest expansion here. 3 mana landmark. Whenever an ally is summoned, it gets 1/1 and Challenger. And today we have a pairing of the Grand Plaza with a champion that I've not seen a lot of it with, and I haven't played with yet today. And that's Ashe. And Ashe actually seems really sweet with Grand Plaza because she frostbites something when she attacks. So if she comes into play, gets made bigger by Plaza, she can attack, frostbite a thing, and then challenge the thing she's frostbiting to basically get to eat it for free. Yeah. So the rest of this deck is kind of just like Ashe support cards that you expect. Rhymefang Wolf for other frostbite synergies, Ice Veil Archer, Brittle Steel, some Harsh Winds at the top end, and then we've got some just other good Demacia cards. So Grizzled Rangers, a pretty staple with Plaza. Scout and making another thing, let's attack twice with one after you play it with Plaza. Garen's very good with Plaza. We got some Sithra the Bold here as a biggity bomb at the top end of our curve, and then we've got a cheeky Tiana Crown Guard here, which is good even on your opponent's turn because she lets you rally. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how it feels. How would I change Fiora? I think there's like there's like hundreds of different things you could change with Fiora. You could adjust her stat line, you could change when she levels, you could change how many things she needs to alt win the game, you could make Riposte cost more mana. Ice Veil Archer is also good with Plaza, yeah. Speaking of, Tan sounds great, huh? I've been playing some Lux, Ashe, Plaza, and the good draws feel like cheating. Eat. And that was another consideration I had, pairing this in the Lux Ashe deck up on my website, but I felt like I wanted something a little bit more dedicated here. Apparently, the number 4 on Fiora has to do with something from League of Legends. I'm not familiar with that back end on it, that like Porthos aspect of it. That is a very aggressive start from our opponent here. Graduate and Ryword, thanks for the follows. Good morning.
Gems are superb. Bad for the teeth, though.
Well, are we dead? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Hey, thanks for the 23 months, Stu. I really appreciate that. Welcome back.
I will unite the failure.
So maybe this Harsh Wind saves us next turn. Maybe. Look at me now.
Safety disengaged.
Oh, floaty crystals.
Oh no.
Forgive me, Avarosa.
And that, like, games like that, like, there's been a lot of community outrage around Grand Plaza, and I really don't think Grand Plaza is too strong as a card. Like, I think a lot of the complaints around Grand Plaza are related to people that want to play mid-range or control decks but don't want to adjust what their deck is doing to have landmark interaction in them. I made no plays that impacted the board till turn 4 and died. This is probably keepable here, actually. Yeah, I agree. The Hecarim Plaza deck is great. Hecarim Lucian deck. That's an archetype that like was always sweet and always felt close, and like the fact that Plaza was able to put it on the map is big. That was one. It always felt like it was just like one card off. Do we take a pass? No, I'm definitely the beatdown here. They're an Orient Cell deck. I need to kill them.
My faith protects me.
Amarosians, stand together.
They're supposed to be adding that at some point, Y-Sticks, but not currently. I mean, card games are always filled with cards like that, though, Precipic. Like, think about the average Teemo deck on Teemo on 1 versus not, right? Like, think about the average deck named after card Y.
Daylight warms the heart and lights the way.
For justice.
Play Garen out here.
Devotion through battle.
Yeah, Teemo's a one-mana spell that's good on its own. But I mean, like, I'm not saying they're the same as Plaza. I'm just saying compare, like, decks being good when they have their key card versus worse when they're not is something that's, like, always been a thing in card games.
Lead our charge.
Demacia, now and forever.
Yeah, opponent is not a Ruination deck. However, these slower Demacia decks frequently play some copies of Judgment, which is an 8-mana fast speed card that we could be worried about. Yeah. This is actually just a lethal attack if they have nothing, right? Oh, no, wait. We're not quite leveled on Ashe yet, and they can block this. Sure, but Precipic, here's the thing, though. There are a ton of decks that like their high roll draws feel bad to play against. And what I'm saying to you is, if you overlap their high roll draws with the draws you draw your landmark removal, the number of draws they have where they have their best draw and you don't have landmark removal are like few and far between. That would be my response to you. If you're actually adjusting your decks for how the game has changed, why don't they feel good? Can you explain? What's wrong with them? Because their deck doesn't do so. Their decks are built poorly. So you're saying that these decks are built in a way where when they don't have their ideal thing, their deck doesn't work. And that's a deck building problem. That's not a design problem. Because I agree with you. A lot of these Plaza decks are bad when they don't have Plaza. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Smig. It's always great to see more people find their way over. Do I want to play out another thing here? So the problem is if I play Ashe, they get to attack and hook her.
Justice waits.
And I'm not sure I want to give that exchange up. Archer doesn't level Ashe, but Ashe attacking next turn levels Ashe.
A true Freljordian will
I will unite the Freljord.
Wow, that's brutal. Do I still have lethal? I might still have lethal with Cythria, right? Cythria and this.
Don't hold back!
Not quite, right? They get to block here. We'd be in an okay spot if I had extra good cards in my hand. If I don't pull, they get to block the 0 power thing into Cythria and then trade the 4 power thing into one of these. That's a good draw.
Her light is our sword, her warmth our armor. Up there in the mountains! Channel our power!
Sure, Precipic. I think aggressive decks can get under it. I said it's a problem with mid-range decks, that mid-range decks have good answers to landmarks. And that if you want to play an interactive deck, your interactive deck needs to have answers to things people are playing in the format. And that's a deck adjustment issue.
We fight for those who cannot.
Okay, so really want to draw a Frostbite here. Oh, right, we're guaranteed to draw Frostbite because of that. Nailed that. So the goal here is that hopefully they'll have to deploy another unit and they can't hold Judgment up. Ashe is leveled. We could see a single combat happen here in response to knock Ashe down. Single combat trading these would not be great for us. Depending on what we draw, we could still have lethal though. Alright, so our opponent should be dead here then.
The war is over. Now we rebuild.
Nah, I think sideboards are silly, Morning Rob. I think you can sideboard answers to something is something Magic players often say to make designs that kind of suck and shouldn't exist seem okay. I think, in comparison, cards like Aftershocked and Scorched Earth, flexible answers that you could justify playing in your main deck, are much better than, oh, you should play narrow sideboard cards and play best of 3 and hope to draw your sideboard cards. It makes some cards dead. It doesn't. It makes bad designs dead. But if you design your game where you don't need that type of effect specifically, you could design your game properly to not need that kind of effect. Yeah, I agree. In my opinion, I agree with Silence there. I think sideboards largely exist in Magic to make up for the fact that they have poor designs. And I also think, like, that was a good draw. I also think, like, for example, while sideboards in best of 3 aren't inherently bad in Magic, I think cards like Rest in Peace and Stony Silence and Shatterstorm, those type of very polarized blowout sideboard cards, those types of designs suck. Sure, but that's a design problem, Gibshot. The solution to that isn't fundamentally change the game in the way you play it. The solution is fix it with different designs that are playable. Like you are trying to fix what is I'm gonna gain 4 with this. You're trying to fix what's a design problem with a fundamental change to the game. Yeah, exactly what 2-2 said. Cards that say, if you're playing deck blank and I play this, you lose are bad. I actually, and speaking of that, Passage Unearned was a card I was actually very surprised to see printed into Runeterra, because I think Passage Unearned's design is bad. I think Passage Unearned is the closest thing we've seen in Runeterra so far to a Rest in Peace or Stony Silence style card, where it's an incredibly polarized effect.
Don't get in my way.
I think I'm just gonna single combat here. Add the extra life temporarily. If they want a sharp sight to trade these, I'm okay with that. Can you give me an example, Gibshot, of an existing mid-range deck in the format that doesn't have access to playable landmark removal? Give me a specific. What's a playable mid-range deck that's not playing SI, PNZ, Noxious, or Target?
We fight for those who
Because all 4 of those regions have decent landmark removal. I think most mid-range decks in the format. Ashe midrange. Ashe midrange can play Grand Plaza. Also, Ashe midrange tends to be more of an aggro deck. That's not really a mid-range control deck. Those Plaza Scouts, that's a beatdown deck. That's also a deck that can just play their own Plaza.
Swiftly now.
That's true too. Ashe Noxious could probably be playing Scorched Earth. Like, and again, I'm not trying to invalidate anybody's feelings. If you just don't like playing against Plaza, that's super valid and reasonable, and that's subjective, and you're entitled to how you feel. What I'm saying is, I don't like playing against a card doesn't mean it's too good. That's the point I'm getting at. And again, I think you can make reasonable arguments that this card feels bad to play against, so it should be changed or shouldn't exist. That's fine too. It's just the discussion I hear too often is, I don't like playing against this card, so it's too good. And that's different.
Fall by my sword.
We're actually dead to a pump spell here.
hold fast.
If they have a +2/+2, we're dead. Yeah.
Come so far.
Very, very close game here. This is my intro to new Runeterra players video here. It talks about how to start building your collection, how to find good deck lists and stuff like that. It's about a 10 or 12 minute video. Yeah, no problem, Kernel. Svan, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I don't know. As a whole, Plaza currently doesn't... I don't even think it makes my top 3 for a list of cards that I think aren't too good, but I would change based on play patterns. Like, in terms of quality of gameplay patterns and the amount of interactable it is, I think Plaza falls under Lee Sin, it falls under Fiora. I feel like there's someone else I'm blanking on in there too. See, I completely disagree. I think it's much easier to... Oh, Tom, the Kench Soraka deck. Yeah, that's the one. Plaza is objectively easier to interact with than all of those other cards because there's no landmark protection in this game. Mono Maokai Frel Shadow Isles. Niv always has the sweetest decks. Like, the range, the number of things that can interact with this overall are smaller, but when you have them, you're not getting bastioned or combat tricked or barriered out of them. Definitely taking this trade. And I think that distinction is really important. No, it's not. That's not a personal preference thing, Precipic. What I just said is objectively true. There's when you have your Plaza answer is going to resolve. Whereas when your opponent has Fiora or Lee Sin, your answer to those cards frequently just don't get to do anything. That's reality.
I will unite the Freljord.
You could say you prefer playing against the other ones more, sure, and that's fine.
I still see far clear.
If you mouse over the eye, it will show you who's getting frostbitten, so you can pull the right one. Nami! Thank you for the 32 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thank you for bringing Zoe Fizz to my attention. Couldn't find a deck to click with me this season until I played it. It's a lot of fun. If you like tempo decks, Zoe Fizz is definitely the deck for you right now. So far, their deck is all prismatic. Yeah, it's sweet. I'm pretty sure the left to right tiebreaker is nonsense that someone in the community made up.
My heart and soul.
My experience playing Runeterra is that left to right's not a thing.
Fuse is lit.
Ping ping ho, thanks for the follow. I'm pretty sure it's random after tiebreakers.
Slow down, will you?
A true Freljordian welcome.
Yeah, our opponent has all of the premium card frames on their decks.
Here we go.
Well then. Ruination was not a card I was playing around. I guess I should have been. Maokai implies something more controlling. That's pretty good. Should have probably opened attacks there.
The Blessed Isles live through me.
Yeah, I'd rather just be able to play my interaction, press a pick. A lot of the, in my opinion, the games against Lee and Fiora, the way those decks are built, often leave you feeling helpless because none of your interaction matters and they're just gonna kill you. Oh, they're a Snap Vines deck. That's hot. Polar Sands, good morning and welcome. If you haven't seen Zoe Fizz before, that means you haven't checked out my website or my highlights channel on YouTube. Both excellent sources for finding sweet Runeterra decks. Alright, Papa Garen. They notably do not have Ruination mana this turn, so... Excuse me? Man, their deck is wild. Huh? Well? Alright, so what's our best draw next turn? Like Crown Guard? Oh, Garen's not big enough to trade here anymore. Oh, no. Chat, we're being out-memed.
Tread carefully.
Yeah, but like the same discussion you're having about making Leo K Precipic like directly applies to the landmarks, right? Like you can just get under Grand Plaza. So like it's weird to me that you're like at that design's okay, but like the landmarks aren't. That seems like a weird differentiation to me.
There you are.
Well. Ha! Alright, we're gonna, yep, that'll do. That'll do, pig. Article, thanks for the follow, welcome to the channel. Woof. Your build is really sweet, Niv. Sounds good. Plaza is just, did I have a Plaza? But sure, but that's the Lee Sin deck and the Fiora deck too, Precipic. And like, my point is, the Lee Sin and the Fiora decks are like that, but they also stop your answers. So you're like, oh, I didn't have an answer to Fiora, I just died. Can we just let this, am I just letting that happen? Nah, I think I want to save my life total here. They're playing Spider-Bird. So I could like wait to play this next turn and then kill this without losing my Fleet Feather Tracker, but not taking 3 here seems ideal.
The trap is set.
The Ribbon deck felt like a worse version of... Oh, what's it called? The Ribbon deck felt like a worse version of the Draven Darius deck. I'm not going to attack this into the 1-1. They have other Fearsome threats, so I want to save this to block Fearsomes potentially down the line. Like this Fearsome here.
There's nothing to fear.
Will no one listen?
Will no one listen? They're thirsty for your deck, Niv. You can't leave them hanging. They need it.
For the glory of Noxus.
They need more Maokai Snapvines in their life.
My heart and sword for Demacia.
Andrew, thanks for the 51 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I'd agree with you more, Precipic, except my experience playing against the Lee Sin and Fiora decks, those are Go Fish decks. In my experience playing those games, those are just Go Fish decks. So it doesn't feel like there's back and forth to me. It feels like I'm playing Go Fish.
Who's my favorite? It is you. Yes.
I feel like you're overselling how interactive those decks are. Alright, Garen has a good shot of leveling up here at least. We're still at 18. Feel like we're in a good spot overall. Well, that changes things. Previously, I had a bunch of fearsome blockers. Now we do not.
Blast 'em.
Alright, so they get to hook these. And I'm taking 12 here.
They're coming! Hide!
Press the advantage!
I don't even know if I want to play Plaza. I guess I want to hook their stuff. I guess. I'm gonna be kind of tight on bench space though.
Stay resolute.
There's a good chance we get burned out from here, right?
No one's the wiser. Faster than my arrow? I think not.
Nah, Spider-Burn didn't get any upgrades. It's just one of the many decks that's just like reasonable.
Stand together.
The shiny new card smell is wearing off for some folks, and they're going back to just playing older decks that they like, because Runeterra doesn't really have constant power creep. So as we get further away from the set release, people will settle back into playing older decks that they like that are still more than competitive, like Spider-Burn.
You cannot stall shuttles.
Oh, and we're dead now, right? I should have killed this for that reason. Yeah, I should have gone for the 2-1 to play around the deal. It probably doesn't matter. Their deck has a ton of reach in it, but I technically should have done this.
Everything's in place.
Good chance we were dead to something up here anyways, but yeah. It's objectively correct to kill this, even if it likely doesn't matter.
Villains.
Just as a good reminder for folks, instead of constantly saying, Jeff, why didn't you make play X? Instead, take a second and tell me why we should make that play. Help me learn. Sometimes I miss things, and instead of making me lecture you, instead communicate with me why your idea is good.
Bless the faithful and fear the heretics. Punish transgressors.
Really good start here, 1-2 for us. We get to play this out, and then Iceveil Archer is going to give this challenger and wipe the attack off here, so to kill their 2-2 for free. Mourn and loot in. So, not attacking my 3-1 into their 3-6, obviously, but get our free eats here.
Unyielding light.
I think I'm gonna play the 2-1 here and get some spell mana in the bank for single combat.
Go down, will you?
The dawn has arrived. To shine like the sun, you must burn like it.
Okay, so this will stun our scout. And then we get to trade our trackers for their 3-2s.
I ain't done yet.
Hey Niv, Merry Christmas. I have a Maokai problem. He's a little overgrown and needs to trim his roots. Sounds good. I'll get that one added to the deck queue after we're done today. Huh.
My light
I think I'm into blocking here. Their deck plays some healing, but we gotta work through that at some point anyways.
And sword for Demacia.
For Demacia.
You cannot stall judgment.
I think I want to open on the scout attack, even if it means they can stun Garen here. I think I do this because if they Pale Cascade here or pump it, I can Harsh Winds.
Our courage will never fail.
took the bait.
Then I think we give up Rhyme Fang Wolf to level Garen here. Pushes 8 points of damage as well.
Press the advantage.
Although, it's also true that leveled Garen is a little bit less exciting when they have Leona. If their first plays at Daybreak, they get to stun him and then he can't attack. They have, like, Eclipse Dragon here.
Shining gifts from the sky.
Bask in the light's radiance.
I feel like I might Harsh Winds.
Channel our power.
Just keep them off their gain 5 here.
Will no one listen? Poor man's gone mad.
This card's a lot less exciting when we don't know what it's gonna draw. Oh, you're right. I missed 3 points. I forgot we had a rally token. Thank you for pointing that out. Chad Geister, thank you for the Prime support. And we have a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch every single month. Thanks for sending it this way this month.
Can't be.
Shout out to Twitch chat for providing the two lovely examples of different ways you can provide feedback. One being a polite, oh, you could have attacked after you frostbitten. And the other one sending a very rude ha 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 after it because I missed something that wasn't obvious.
Behold my work.
Very good chance that 3 points ends up mattering. It's gonna be a close game. Forgot the third Twitch chat option of recommending an illegal play. It's funny. It's funny because it's true.
Right. They'll come for you.
Oh, did they think this was a 5-5? Did they not realize he was leveled? They must not have realized he was leveled, huh? He doesn't regen now, that's true. Alright, Living Legends. I don't think that gets anything we're too scared of. I guess they could get double obliterate here, but we should still have lethal with these, right? Because we have the rally token here. Sisters. Yeah, Sisters maybe does it. So, if we attack with these and then Crown Guard, they should be dead, right? Ooh, that's a good thought. Yeah, could have the double stun there to maybe get out of that. Crescent strike.
As it should be.
It's a good observation. Huh. I can't mulligan Hawk on one, right? I think this is bad, so we have like Hawk into probably Hawk into Bank spell mana into Plaza into this. Maka Art, thank you for the very generous tier 3. I really appreciate the half a year. Welcome back. Good morning. Yeah, Hawk ends up being better than the 2-1 here. Yeah, probably Freljord overwhelms here. Is the established archetype that plays those regions of these champions. And again, this will be another question of like, can we afford to take off turn 3 to play this card? I'm not sure that we can. Them opening attacks is actually great for us. So, I think I actually want to play Trapper here, because it's resource efficient. And then I would like to play, I don't think I can just pass here. I think I need to take my free kill. Yeah, they're assuredly developing here, but... I mean, it's worse when you don't hit a frostbite, but it's still, like, fine. It trades. It trades even on tempo most times, worst case. Alright, we're gonna have some Yetis here soon, chat.
This land is ours.
We've notably managed to stay above 10 life so far, which is a key number against it's a key number to stay above against my opponent's Darius deck.
Sure about that?
Man, they are determined to save this ballista, chat.
My life forever, Rosa. Tread carefully.
I think I do this to stay above 10. Maybe I'm supposed to hold on to this to give it Challenger next turn. I'm only burning 1 mana that way. Yeah, perhaps that's correct. I would have been able to play all 3 of these this turn.
Gotcha.
Now this is just a 5/5 instead of a 6/6.
What did we catch?
My Yeti's bigger than your Yeti. Neener, neener, neener.
Don't hold back!
Oh no! Well, that's terrifying.
My beautiful face.
Why does our opponent have to be playing good cards like Battle Fury? Are we dead to a Darius? I think we're dead to a Darius now, right? This is why you shouldn't gloat about the size of your Yeti, chat. Gloating about the size of your Yeti always comes back to bite you. We're taking 6 and 5. Is that exactly 11? I think it's exactly 11. Big oof. He was a grower, not a shower. That's true. I could have taken a more aggressive line and tried to push lethal on the previous turn. And what are the odds? What are the odds their deck has interaction in that case? I guess their archetype doesn't usually play a ton of it. That's a good thought. Yeah, I think you're right that I should have been more aggressive on the previous turn and assumed our opponent didn't have interaction. It's a good thought. Yeah, there, like Karma said, there is some variation in the opponent's archetype. But I don't know. I think it's probably right to just try and make them have it and kill them. Yeah, I agree, Journey. In my experience has definitely been that Battle Fury is better than Decisive Maneuvers in the Freljord builds. Really good start here. Hawk into Plaza into Scout. And we're attacking on evens. Oh, I'm so dumb. In my head, this was another Hawk. All the birds, chat. They all look very similarly. Lots of winged creatures. That's fine. I think it's still right to Hawk on one. Well. Our opponent has assembled quite the onslaught, chat.
Don't get in my way.
All right, under the bus, Omen Hawk. Take one. Oh, Omen Hawk. Omen Hawk taking one for the team here.
We're gonna need more coffins.
You're gonna put my bird in a box, Lucian? That's so rude. What did my poor little Omen Squawk ever do to you?
Alright, let's mess some folks up.
He got hacked on turn 4. That's vomit-inducing. It might be right. Nah, it's gotta be right to hit them for 6 there. Alright, well, we have a curve here.
We fight for those who cannot.
There's a chill in the air.
I stand ready.
Nah, the title's definitely not updated. Thanks for the heads up.
No room for doubt.
Shut up.
Ah, shut up. Nah, I just updated it, Beck. It wasn't updated.
Resolute. Lead our charge.
Demacia, now and forever.
Yeah, Astox. And honestly, like, that's one of the reasons why I like Plaza as a card, is like, it's made a bunch of things that were previously unplayable, just like reasonable cards. And that's something we'll see more of as Runeterra continues to expand and add more cards to its card pool. Like, more of these cards, like, you know, Garen or Vlad, will become playable as they get more support.
Press the advantage.
Why did I hold the 3-4 back? Because I didn't want to trade the 3-4 for their scout. Oh, it would have gotten bigger with Cythria, right? Yeah, it's probably fine. Yeah, I think Vlad's super reasonable with Scar Grounds. I think we open with this, right? Just prevent this from being able to attack. I probably want to play these two out before I attack, but having this happen before we get in there seems good.
Ancient things trapped in the ice.
Yeah, they're dead here. This gets to hook this, and then Cythria pumps everything else. Vorpal Snark, thanks for the follow. Good morning and welcome. Yeah, Plaza single-handedly put Garen on the map. Card's real good. Definitely full mulliganing here, not only looking for Plaza, but also just like cheap units to play out to start. Perfect. I think the Asol Leona Plaza deck is definitely the biggest, baddest control deck in the format. If you want the go biggest possible, that's definitely the one. I think I play this pre-Plaza, get a couple of chip shots in. I think the comparison to Ashe Riven is off base. Our deck is definitely more of a mid-range control deck, whereas Ashe Riven tends to be a little bit more aggressively slanted. Yeah, having Frostbites of our own has also felt good against our opponent's Plazas. A7 MBG, good morning and welcome to the channel. You get a hang of Ezreal Draven. BBG hammered a ton of Ezreal Draven last season. I don't know that that's still something he's playing, though. I think I do this just to deny them a bit of damage here. I'm not really worried about the life gain, but taking an extra chunk for 6 seems bad here. I think I trade this off for that 6 points of damage. I definitely think Plaza is the best landmark in the game. I don't think that's much of a discussion. Deathmark is notably an Ionia card, so some of these Lucian decks are playing the 5/5 Ephemeral just to gain life against aggro. So generally speaking, they are not Deathmark decks because, well, actually they can't be, right? Because they need Plaza for Demacia. Not even just generally, they just can't be. No, Deathmark's definitely Ionia. It's just usually only played alongside SI. No, Zed's champion spell is Shadow Shift. The Crown Guard's actually been super reasonable.
Push back the darkness. Here we go.
Here we go. We'll take those free eats all day. Pretty sure I want to take my chip shot here. This gives them a chance to develop their board post-combat, but I think I want to try and be able to race here, and sweet, they just don't have anything. Their deck's also good at leveraging spell mana, so taking my hit there feels good for that reason too.
A long path to get here.
Alright, play Hecker him so I can single combat him. Shout outs to my opponent for doing us a solid. Then we get to Brittle steal the 2/2 that tries to hook Cythria here. Well, I think we just get Garen going, right? Because if they play something else out here and we get to single combat with the Garen this turn too, we could have an attack token next turn potentially. I don't want to alarm you, Chad,
Install judgment.
but there's a creeper and he's got TNT. Watch out. He's adorable. For people that are unaware and don't Minecraft, or have kids that Minecraft, a creeper is what they call the zombies in Minecraft. Penta XDC, thanks for the follow. For someone that's new to the channel like Penta there, I have 3 small children. I have a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 6-month-old, so... Who doesn't know Minecraft in 2020? I mean, to be fair, if I didn't have small children, I would have never known what Minecraft was or what a creeper was. Definitely not an IP or style of game that I personally engage in, but since I have small children, they enjoy it, so I know it because of them. I try to be involved in the games that they're playing. That was Jacob. Yep. Quinn Misfortune. I think I'm mulliganing everything but this. I'd like to try and find some of my 1s and 2s and or a Grand Plaza. But this seems tough to pass up here. Getting a Yeti early is potentially very good.
Fortune favors the bold.
Do I craft all the decks I play on stream myself, or do I get inspiration from somewhere you're trying to get better at deck building? A majority of the decks that I play on stream are viewer submissions. A lot of the content here is very community focused. My #1 piece of advice for people that are looking to get better at building decks is, if you have to ask the question, how do I get started deck building? The #1 recommendation I have for you is to practice, is to take existing decks and practice tuning them. Don't start from scratch. Building decks from nothing tends to be very difficult, and taking decks that are already reasonable and iterating on them is a good way to get your feet wet with not being overwhelmed. Try and take decks that are established decks and ask yourself the questions like, okay, the person that built this deck, why did they make the decisions that they made?
Who cannot.
I'll blow up the pieces!
Take a deck that's established and be like, okay, what problem does this deck have, and how do I try and fix that problem? Yeah, my card rec command there. Those questions that I ask aren't just to be annoying. They're the questions I ask myself personally when I'm trying to optimize a deck. How do I make this deck better? What problem does it have? Can I solve that problem with a card addition? All right, what do I cut for that card? And then another level of that is you need to ask yourself, okay, what other problems am I potentially creating by cutting that card?
What did we catch?
We did high roll the appropriate Zoe emote there. You're not wrong.
Not and ready.
You get to level Garen here too with that frostbite, which is nice.
Stand for what's right.
We must not relent.
That's true too. If you're working on tuning decks or building new things and you're a sub to the channel, my Discord server is a great place for that. If you're not sub to the channel, there's lots of other good community resources. There's a public Runeterra Discord server, as well as the what's it called? The Runeterra subreddit.
With me.
we judgmenting this turn? I'm passing to start and seeing what they do, I think.
Pride will cost them.
I think if they're just taking that trade, I just, like, let it happen and play Garen, right?
For justice, for Demacia.
Oh, Demacia. This is actually lethal, right? If they have nothing. There's no reason to block here, right? Because if I block and they pump and their thing survives, I don't have lethal on the backswing because I have a rally token. So I just take that hit and then attack with these. They could have single combat here to, like, block in single, but I don't think this archetype usually plays single combat. Breathless, thanks for the follow. Good morning and welcome. The Garen builds tend to play single combat. Quinn does not. That's a good observation. Yeah, single's extra good with Garen. Did a new expansion just release? A week ago, a week and a half ago, week and a half. At this point, right? Was the 15th? Little couple 2-3. Almost 5 years indeed, RQR Master X85. I have a note that says I need to find a 60-month sub icon. I have 30 days to do it. All right, I'm gonna get it figured out for you before we get there. That's an absurd duration. Hope your Christmas and holidays and New Year's are going well. I think I'm relatively happy with what we have going on. Let's play it. Let's play a couple more. Rematch here. I think I'm into these two. Gonna mulligan these, looking for a 3, hoping for Plaza specifically. Just like we drew it up, chat fam. I don't know if it's the same username. It's the same deck. I wasn't paying it. I'm really bad at remembering usernames. I think it's worth ending the round there. I think we're favored as this game goes long.
A chill in the air.
Ice, ice, baby. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Little chilly over there. Probably open on Babblingberg next turn. How much mana are we gonna have? We're gonna have 6, 9 altogether. This tank makes me think they don't have double trouble, which is great for us. Do I want... Enraged Jetty? I probably want it to pull with next turn. I think it's worth giving up the mana so it's going to have Challenger next turn.
Will no one listen? Poor man's gone mad. All right, let's mess some folks up.
Oh, Bertrand.
I want to block. Do I want to block here? I actually think I want to do this, so this way if they save her with a riposte, I don't lose my Yeti. Is it ever right to double Plaza? Yeah, sometimes, but not here. So this is worse against Sharp Sight, but better against riposte. Dope. Scouts runs riposte. Yeah, sometimes there's a ton of variation in these lists. There's so many different good combat tricks you're able to play that, like, assuming they play one and not the other tends to be a mistake, I think.
Go down, Liam.
I don't think we get to level Garen, because I think I need to kill Misfortune, because I don't want them to be able to, like, hook and kill my X1s. They didn't have Sharp Sight last turn, so I think I just do this. That's a huge blowout. Alright, shoulda just used Garen, probably. Shoulda just used Garen. Clickerfest, thanks for the follow. And I mean, like, again, like, there's so many different tricks to be playing around, right? Do they also have Sharp Sight? We just go to 11 and keep this alive. I think I want to throw this one away to gain 4, though.
Stay resolute.
Huh.
You gotta believe me.
Yeah, maybe that attack is bad with that one. Alright, so we get to double Abyss them here.
To me.
I will bring honor to the Crown Guard name.
This card.
Only your sister were more like you.
This card is good. This card's been impressive.
Wicked must fall.
I've come so far.
Not quite under the Abyss, I suppose. Alright, so their Misfortune is getting ready to level.
And a long path to get.
Yes, Runeterra is the game I primarily play these days. It's been my full-time game since the start of October. So I have 12 mana, so I can Cithria here, and then Harsh Winds, and then crack back. That seems good.
Demacia, now and forever. Love ya.
So Cythria gets to do her best Ashe impression here. And we get to wipe the attack off of those and then hook this, and they can't block these two. Because these are scary.
I'll be damned.
Sweet.
We have prevailed.
We have prevailed. League Partner is the official Riot affiliation title. Gosh, I kind of want another Crown Guard in here, but that's just like so much beef at the top end, it's probably wrong. Battling Berg's been kind of whatever. I could see just like cutting Bergs and going up a Crown Guard. And a single combat is another cheap piece interaction. I wasn't on 3 of those. Let's try that. Yeah, I agree, Violet. Berg is a lot less exciting when it's not guaranteed to draw you one thing and there's variance involved in it. Wolf has been passable, like not good, but fine. Mono Victor. Why are Victor and Riven not seeing much use in decks? Because they're difficult cards to figure out how to build around. Also, it's important to remember that, like, nothing sees a ton of play in everything in Runeterra. One of the things you have to break the thought process on coming from other games is most other card games that I've experienced to date, they power creep all of their new sets to really push the new cards so they see a ton of play right away. Runeterra, one of the many ways it's tried to set itself apart is by having fairly flat power levels in its designs, which means that even if there's new cards that are okay in the new set, they're not busted and pushed, and there's not a super significant reason to play them over older cards if you like the older cards more. In Runeterra, there's a good chance that if you enjoy playing a deck, it's still going to be playable, you know, 3 or 6 months from now. Unless they drastically change how they're designing cards, which I don't see why they would. A lot of other card games have an economic incentive to constantly invalidate cards as they print new ones because they want to fleece you with loot boxes and new booster packs every set, and Runeterra doesn't have that goal. They're trying to monetize via cosmetics. Nah, I think Crown Guard's probably better than Brightsteel, because Crown Guard, you can play on your opponent's turn and attack with it right away.
One Star's Whipsy is another spark.
It's cute. I mean, we see changes like that happen, Milo. They just don't want to make too many changes at a time. So, like, Runeterra frequently makes updates to older cards. We saw Vlad get a buff pretty recently, Shyvana get a buff, like. Also, Cat's been seeing some play alongside Grand Plaza with this latest expansion. So, like, just because a card's older doesn't mean that it's completely forgotten. It just means, like, they don't want to change a ton of stuff every patch. For people that are newer to Runeterra, usually we see a larger balance patch in the game the month in between sets.
A true Freljordian welcome.
We see a new card drop every other month with a balance patch that usually includes buffs to older cards in the middle. Yeah, Navier, it definitely feels like they're taking their approach to League with the card game, which is good. Yeah, you just make new, interesting archetypes so there's different things people want to try, as opposed to power creeping endlessly to make things that people feel obligated to play, because otherwise they won't be competitive. I guess we'll eat this one, since it's frostbitten. I don't really want to trade this for this, so we'll just hold this back for now. Huh? Trade these. Brittle Steel's a lovely draw. The efficiency on this card is really high. The places where it's usable, it's so good.
Join the glorious evolution. The flashbacks will bow, great maker.
Yeah, I was honestly super impressed with this expansion from the perspective of how it not only felt like it really rounded off archetypes that were in the previous Call of the Mountains card drops, but like, again, like, Hecarim and Garen becoming playable around a card like the Grand Plaza is really awesome.
Can you improve perfection? Join me.
Seeing that where the tie-in wasn't just to, like, the most recent card drops, but also older ones as well is awesome.
Prime and ready.
Lead our charge.
Demacia, now and forever.
Yeah, Vlad as well. Big agree, super happy with Vlad in his current iteration. But he's got some choices here. That's 5 cards plus two creatives that they're going to spew if they don't use them. Cithria is definitely trucking into Victor here. Yeah, there's been a few good Teemo decks, right? Like the Teemo Burn deck has also popped up a bit too. Want to order this first since this gained lifesteal, because they can't go above 20, so they'll go to 20 and then they'll take 7 here.
Now there is no prey to stop. Safety disengaged.
Now, a real thought's gonna be, do I want to use Brittle Steel to save this from Danger Noodle, or do I want to hold on to this for the cat down the line? I feel like with these Challenger units, I probably don't have to worry about these. I have not seen Hexcore paired with Twisted Fate yet, but that is in my deck queue, and it's something we're definitely going to get to. I think it's actually towards the top. Close-ish. We should get to it. We should get to it this week.
System upgrade. Rise, metal brethren.
I think I'm going to count on these to kill these, and I'm going to save Cithria so we can get aggressive here still. Ooh, they're afraid of Sharp Sight. That's so good for us. They let the fear into their dojo, chat. You can't be scared, chat. You can't be scared. How many Pales have they played? Just one? But that's fine. These will be big enough to kill through Pale with the Plaza boost and the Cithria boost.
Can you improve perfection? The trap is set.
The trap is set.
Safety is engaged.
That's rude.
It will be mine!
For Demas.
Gotcha.
Oh, they, Brittle Steel's burst speed lamped in.
I rise anew! I'm through waiting.
This technically leaves them their bigger one. Oh, sure. I think that's fine. Am I okay trading this for this? I think I am at this point.
Justice waits for no one.
I think forcing this out so they stop getting ignitions is good.
Demacia will prevail.
It's very possible I should have played this last turn, so that way I could have had the extra challenger on this attack. It would mean we wouldn't be getting hit by this, which is a big deal.
In pursuit. Tread carefully.
It is a big cap. We have a bunch of Yetis in the top few cards of our deck here, which is great. That's a good draw. Am I supposed to Crown Guard here? If I play this and they have like a Get Excited or an Aftershock, I just die to the cat, right? I think the conservative play is Crown Guard this turn. So like they'll gem the cat and trade with the Crown Guard, but I think that's correct. I think that's like, yeah, I think like our lose condition here is this cat killing us. And the way it kills us in this situation is if they have a way to kill the Rhyme Fang. Tay, thanks for the follow. Welcome. Yeah, we definitely start by attacking. So we get to do this. So we get to push some damage and get the rally trigger still, which is nice.
Their treat will be doomed. Cursed beam, I will catch you.
Hey chat, remember when we played around the deal 3 because it was our lose condition? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
You'll find me a formidable foe.
Behold, Crown God's strength.
Spacey Sketcher is just okay. The problem with Spacey Sketcher is that on average, the cards that you're getting aren't always worth more than other cards that you could be playing. So like there's not like, if you don't have discard synergies, she's not great, or behold synergies. Playing these out to have open attacks that are lethal. We have lethal open attacks through a blocker, because this will be 5 and this will be 3. 5, 3, 1. So dead through a blocker here. They can have another Thermo Beam to survive a turn, though. Okay. I think we're still in a fine spot. They're going to 2. These will trade. It just doesn't matter, Miku. All things considered, I think I'm pretty happy with where this ended up at. Thoughts on a couple of the details overall. I think Rhinebang Wolf was definitely one of the weaker cards in the deck that we ended up playing, but I don't necessarily that I want to cut it. Actually, I think if I were to try this some more, a change I might make is Sentry. Like, we have, our curve is a little bit awkward. We have 8 6 1-drops and we have a ton of 3s. Yeah, Tavern Keeper could be okay. I kind of like the idea of having a cheaper threat though. And like this card with this card with Plaza is kind of sweet, right? Like it turns into a Doomblade, that a piece of removal that draws a card afterwards. So I could see this being fine. Yeah, I think that's where I would end on. I was pretty happy with this mix of top end. Babbling Berg being cut, I think was good because not only was it expensive, but not getting the same thing consistently felt bad. Crown Guard was a card that ended up being really impressive. Like, the fact that you could play this on your opponent's turn, and then it comes down and rallies, and then gets to kill something is really, really sweet. It also lets you, like, get lethals out of places where your opponents just don't expect you to have lethal a lot of the time, so... yeah, I could see Tavern Keeper being a good choice over this as well if you're especially worried about aggro. But honestly, Sentry just taking our curve and dragging it down a bit will also make the aggressive matchup better. So I think I would definitely try this before I move on to that. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and be done for the morning because I ended up doing the Santa stream Christmas Eve night. I'm a little bit behind on some of the stuff I had planned. I want to hang out with the family a little bit and get some things straightened up around the house a little bit. For everybody that's new, thanks for dropping in today. Returning viewers, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I stream Runeterra stuff here almost every single day of the week. I'm usually live in morning time US right about this time. Crackscap, thanks for the follow. Welcome. I also have a couple of YouTube channels here. I stream usually 2 to 4 different constructed decks per day. One of those channels, the youtube.com/Jeff Hoagland, hosts absolutely everything that I stream. All of the videos get uploaded there. And then if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of time or you want to watch just my best content, the Hoaglandia Highlights channel, every single day I take one of the best and sweetest recent decks that we've played and post a short 20 to 30 minute video there highlighting some of the best games that it has and giving a short overview and breakdown of it. So I'll be back tomorrow morning with some more Runeterra. Catch all of y'all around real soon, hopefully. Everybody enjoy the rest of your day.